bringing together of multiple elements. In the Bible, unity is seen in the marriage of a man and a woman, the unity of believers through the Holy Spirit, and the ultimate unity among all believers through Jesus Christ. Unity is a divine gift that brings God's success, growth, and glory. So, with that being said, when we unify, when we unite as one, it gives God glory. God is glorified to see us as a church, as a Christian body, unite together as one and to do His work. That's the main reason we're here. That matter of fact, that's the only reason we're here, to do His work and to be unified in doing that work. And if we come together as one, there's nothing that can stop us from doing what the Lord has set forth for us to do. Now, and go with me to Psalms 133. I'm going to read verses 1 through 3. Have it? 133. Psalms 133, verses 1 through 3. And it reads, Behold, how great and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that runs down upon the bed, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Mount Hermon, and as the dew that descends upon the mountains of Zion. For the Lord commandeth the blessings and life evermore. So now this Psalms, the message in Psalms right here, that's a critical message, however. It's a celebration, brotherhood, and unity. This is a song of the saint, a short composition as families would travel to Jerusalem for one of the required feasts. Now, it is possible this song was inspired by David's ascent to the throne. This was required by David's ascent to the throne when the separate tribes of Israel joined to recognize his leadership. So before David was ascended to the throne, the separate tribes of Israel, they were separated. They were probably warring against each other, fighting with each other. But once they realized that David was being appointed a king, going to take his place on the throne, they came together in unity to recognize that. So that's where this songs came from. So Jesus commands his followers to love one another. That's in John 13:34 to 35. That's a prime sign of his love for us. So if we love God the way he loves us, then we must unify. We must unite and become one in unity. Love one another as Christ also loved us. Now, this really doesn't mean being in complete agreement with everything, okay? Because we all know we're not going to always agree on everything. But this doesn't mean to be in agreement on everything, on all details, but it does mean agreeing to disagree. We have to agree to disagree. Now, when the issue is not critical and disagreeing without being disagreeable, because we can't disagree without being disagreeable. So, because sometimes people want to disagree with each other, and then they hold conflicts and animosity. And my point got to be right. My point is valid, more valid than your point. We can agree to disagreeable without being, without we can agree to disagree to agree without being disagreeable. Now, the joy of relationships marked by the unity cannot be overstated. The joy of relationships marked by unity cannot be overstated. If we are unified in everything we do, it can't be overstated. It can't be, you know, pushed to the side. It can't be, just run of the mill. We just have to do what we have to do. Now this is a new commandment. John 13, 34 and 35 says, a new commandment is given to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. So God that's the first commandment that God gives us. Love one another, love one another as he loves us. You know, God don't, I mean, we do things that's not pleasing to him, you know, that I know sometimes probably makes him angry, but he still loves us. And that's what we have to do to one another. You know, I mean, we know, like I said, we not gonna always agree on everything, but we still have to love one another. We still have to, we still have to live together. We still have to function as one. You know, one heart, one mind, one body, one spirit. We still have to do that even if we don't agree sometimes with one another. And that's what unity is all about. And if we get united together, there's nothing that we can't do. If we all right now in this house, in this room right tonight, get on one accord and start doing what our pastors and our apostles have asked us to do, go out, get people and come into the church, build this kingdom up, build this church up, there's nothing can stop us. Nobody can stop us if we unify, if we get united together and make up our mind that this is what we're going to do, this is what we want to do. Because that's the only way that we're going to fill this house. Apostle can't do it by himself. Pastor Marion can't do it by herself. Brother Dawson can't do it by himself. I can't do it by myself. None of us in here can do it alone. You know, so if we unite together, we all come in unity and join together, then we can do it. We can do anything. Matter of fact, we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. But we have to be on one accord. We have to be together. We have to be unified. We have to be united. We have to be all in. All in. We have to be all in order for Life Changes Covenant Ministries to be the place where God has intended for it to be. He put us here in this neighborhood for a specific reason. We're not here just for us. We're not here just for us to come in every Wednesday night, every Sunday morning, dress up, or however we want to come in and sit down and let Apostle or Pastor Marion feed us the word, or sometimes David or whoever Apostle appoints, or sometimes he brings in somebody to do it. We're not here just for that. That's just our training ground. We're here to be trained, to learn, to go out and get others to come in. All of us has a story to tell. All of us has a past. We need to use our past to bring in the same people that we used to be. We listen, we know better than those people out there because we used to be them. So now we need to go out and let them know, yo, bro, I've been there. You know, I know what you're going through. I did that. You know, this, and then we tell them how we changed, how God, not we, how we allowed God to change us. Because see, we didn't change. And now I'm gonna speak about myself for a minute, because I didn't change. I didn't change when I was going through it, I was going through my addictions, I didn't change. The first thing I did was I said, God help me. I can't do it. I can't live like this no more. I'm tired of this, God. I need you to help me. So we all need help, but you're not gonna get the help if you don't ask for the help. And now I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Once you ask God for help, be sure, be very sure that's what you want, because you're gonna get it. And I know for me, when I asked for that help that particular Saturday morning, it came just like that. I mean, it came so quick, and I didn't even much know. I wasn't even much expecting it, but it came just that quick with a phone call, one phone call, and that phone call came from my little daughter Lamar. She was, I think Lamar probably was maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old at that time, and she used to come and spend the weekends with me, and I was supposed to go get her that Friday, and I didn't because I was out doing my thing. So she called me on that Saturday morning, wanting to know why I didn't come to get her. But when she called me, I was on the floor crying because I was a broken man. I mean, everything had just taken over. And like I said, I couldn't live like I was living no more, so I asked God to help me. And immediately, when I cried out for that help, he helped me, he answered. Because she called. And right away, when she called me right away, I asked her, I said, "Where's your mother?" Now, the reason that came about was because me and my wife, we were just friends at that time, but I knew she was into the church. So I asked for her. Not not me, because that was God telling me, because I asked God for help. So he can give me the help. So he had Lamara call me for the, because I wouldn't have known to call Darlene. I would probably lay on that floor all day crying. But she called, so immediately I asked for Darlene. And when she got on the phone, I told her, I said, she asked me what's wrong. I was still crying and everything. She said, "What's wrong?" I told her, I said, "I'm sick." Just like that, I said, "I'm sick." Now, honestly, I'm telling y'all the truth. These weren't my words, but I was telling her what God was saying. I said, "I'm sick." She said, "Well, I don't have nobody I can leave the kids with right now, so I can't really go with you to the hospital." My very next word was, "The doctors can't help me." That honestly, y'all, that wasn't me. That was not me. But the very next word out of my mouth came was, "The doctors can't help me." And her next words was, "You need me to pray for you." And I said, "Yes." So when we need help, we have to ask for it. If you don't ask for help, you're gonna stay down in that same rut you in. You're gonna stay where you at, and you're not gonna get up. That's our job now. Our job is to go out and help others. But in order for us to do that, we have to be one. We have to come together as one body, as one mind, as one heart, as one soul, to go out amongst the communities all over, the highways, the byways, and the bushes, wherever you can find them at. But you got to go out and get them. And Walmart. We go to Walmart every day. We go to Sam Club every day, or some of us do. We go to work every day. They're on your job. They're in your neighborhood. Everybody in your neighborhood ain't saved. Everybody you see walking the street ain't saved. But when God puts that opportunity before you to go out and speak to somebody, you have to take that opportunity. That's doing his commandment. That's doing his work. Now, as I was saying, Ephesians 4:13 there says, "Till we come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the statue of the fullness of Christ, we cannot become one. We have to come into that perfect statue of Christ. Not because none of us is perfect. Not we. Not I'm not trying to say a perfect being, a perfect person, because we'll never be a perfect person. But we got to come into that full stature and the fullness of Christ in order to do what God wants us to do. We have to be, again, we have to come together in unity in order to do that. Now, I did a lot of writing, I did a lot of research, so I'm going to read some of these things that I wrote down. It says, chapter 4 describes both the unity of the believers and the new hope which Christians have in Jesus. A new hope. When we come to God, we get a new hope. All old things has passed away. Everything we did in the past, that's gone. It's gone. So we new creations now. It's a new hope. It's a new day. So we have to embrace that. We have to really embrace that. It's a new hope which Christians have in Christ. The passage begins with Paul's mention of his imprisonment. As his focus on the Christian unity, which is Ephesians 4, 1 through 16. There he appeals to Christians to live in a way which reflects the grace we've been given by God. God has given us grace. When we give our life back to Christ, back to God, he gave us a grace. And he's still giving us grace every day. Every day we live by grace. Every day we live by the grace of God. So and that's the thing, that's another thing too. We need every day we get up in the morning, we need to be thankful for that new day. Because that's another grace. That's another opportunity for us to go out and do his work. That's another opportunity for us to show God how much we appreciate him, how much we love him. We can never love him more than he loves us. But that's just an opportunity, another opportunity for us to show him the grace that that we appreciate the grace that he has given us. Thank you, sir. Now, so we've been given a new grace by God. Okay, the second part of this passage develops the concept of the new life believers have in Jesus. Again, new life. That's what we have, a new life. So Paul begins assessing the specific actions and attitudes to the new life all believers ought to be taking on. So we should take on a new life, a new attitude about everything that we do. We as believers, it's a new day. We have every day is another day. Every day is a new day. I have this saying that I say a lot. Yesterday is the past. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. That's why we call it's a gift. Today is a gift. That's why that's why they call today the present. The time we announce this the present. When tomorrow we don't know what tomorrow holds. That's why it's a mystery. Yesterday, we can't do anything about it. That's over with. It's gone. We can't do anything to change yesterday. So we have to focus on right now, the present, which is like I said, it's a gift. So and that's why we call it the present. Now, yesterday is the past. Tomorrow is a mystery. And today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Now, and I try to live by that every day, because honestly, and I feel like we all should live that way, because that's what God would want us to do. God don't live in the past. God only lives in the present. Now, God knows what the future holds. He does. We don't. So that's why we can't look forward to the future. One day at a time. One day at a, this day is all. This day is the only day that's promised to us. We in this day, we live this day. If we see tomorrow, then be thankful. Give God the glory. Glorify Him. Give Him the grace because He gave us another day of grace. Now, so Paul urges his readers to live according to the calling they have received as believers. That's Ephesians 4:1. Now, we all have a different calling. You have to know what your calling is. My calling is different from your calling. Each one of us callings are different. So I can't live through what you live through. I have to live through what God puts upon me. Now, I remember a time, well, when me and my wife was still talking, we really didn't used to go together, really. We just used to talk, we was just friends. And she asked me, she said, you coming to my wedding? I like her, right? But wait a minute, you asked me if I'm coming to your wedding. I said, no, I'm not coming to your wedding. Why am I going to come to your wedding? I said, when you getting married? She said, well, I'll let you know when. She said, but feel here. She said, I'll let you know when I'm getting married. And she said, and I'm gonna tell you right now, my husband is gonna be a preacher. I said, oh girl, you must be something wrong with you. But then again, I know she used to go to the church, another church. So I thought she already met somebody in the church. She can be all right. But I mean, I wasn't going to the wedding. Well, how you gonna invite me to your wedding? And I want you to be mine. But now you invite me to your wedding. I said, no, that ain't happening. you know. But she finally told me who she was talking about. Oh. And well, she didn't tell me until I proposed. After a while, after I think maybe it probably was about a year or so after she told me that, and then I proposed to her after I got my life in order because I wouldn't have married nobody in the state I was in. I wasn't put to do anything. I couldn't help myself, much less have a wife and a family. So when I got my life in order, and I finally proposed to her, then she told me I was talking about you. So and that's a true story. I mean, and that's how we got together. Now, going back a little further, before we got together, when we were kids, because we grew up together, I met her when she was 4 years old. I was 8. So me and my wife known each other for right now over well, yeah, 67 years because I'm 63, she's 60. She'll be 60 in a couple of days. So, hey, she don't mind me telling y'all. But anyway, oh, you do? I apologize, sweetie. I'll never do it again. But I mean, that's how long we had known each other. And when we were teenagers growing up, her mother always used to call me son-in-law. Every day I would go by her house. We used to live on the apartment. Her mother used to sit in the window. Hey, son-in-law, if I walk by, hey, son-in-law, how you doing? I would say, hey, mother-in-law, how you doing? And at that time, for me, it was just a joke because that's what she used to call me, son-in-law. So I didn't know this lady all this time, she was speaking this into existence. And thank you. I was answering because I was saying, hey, mother-in-law, how you doing? Not realizing the words that were coming out of my mouth were coming into fruition. I didn't know that, but I was just, and she used to say, oh, mama, I don't like that boy. You need to stop that. You need to stop calling him like my husband. Not your son-in-law. I don't like him. I don't like him. So one night, she had this little boyfriend came by from Jones Island. One of them country boys. They used to come to the city and try to take our girls. So her mama called me. She said, son-in-law, she right out there in that car. Go get her. That's serious. That's what her mother did. Her mom said, no, you ain't cheating on you ain't cheating on my son-in-law. She said, son-in-law, she right over there in that car. Go get her. And I going right there like the old fool. Hey, come on out this car. But in other words, I was basically claiming what was mine. She didn't come with the car. No, she did not. She didn't come with the car now. But I knocked on the window like her mother told me and tell her to come out the car. Oh, she said, boy, get away from this guy, boy. Go. I don't know who you think you're playing with. You know, I walked away. Okay, so getting back to where we was at. So I mean, so so Ephesians 4:2 says, well, let me go back. Paul urges his readers to live according to the calling they received by believers. This includes humility. We must be humble. We must live a humble life because God saved us. God gave us a second chance. So we have to humble ourselves when it comes to going out and getting others. So humility, gentleness, and all of this has to be associated with unity. So humility, gentleness. We must be patient. Patience is a virtue. Patience, I mean, if you don't have patience, man, you'll be messed up if you don't have patience, I'm telling you. And of course, love. Now, unity and peace were essential with Paul, noting the importance of one spirit, one hope, one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. God is Father of all. Ephesians 4:5 to 6 says, grace is given to each other. Grace is given to each other. Grace is given to each of us. We must give that grace back to another person. Even unbelievers, we have to show them grace because sometimes we don't. You know, we'll see a person that we know don't have Christ in their life. But some of us be so harsh. You know, look at him. But remember, that was you. That was us. God graced us with his glory to be where we are. So now, because we see somebody out there that who we used to be, then we look at them side eyes. Now, why do you think she? Man, you know you can do better than that. No, they can't do better than that. If they could do better than that, they would. You need to come to them. We need to come to them and say, hey, let me show you the way how you can be better, how you can do better. Because like I said earlier, I was there. I can come to somebody. I can go to a drug addict or alcoholic and sit down and have a conversation with them and know exactly what they're feeling because I felt it. You know, when I used to get high, we had a thing called chasing the dragon, and what that meant was now, and I had to learn this myself because when I first started indulging in crack cocaine, my system wasn't never experienced it before. So I was introduced to something new into my system. And that's the same thing with every alcoholic, drug addict, or anybody. Ooh, my time. So, but when you first introduce these foreign substances into your system is not ready for it. So you're gonna get that first, like they call it, that first love, that first high. You're gonna feel real good, you know? So what keeps them out there so long is they're trying to go back and get that one. That's why I call chasing the dragon. Because you're still trying to get back to where you've been, and you never get back there. Once that enters your system for the first time, and when you go back on side again, you ain't gonna feel the same way. And that's why. So, like I said, I can go out and sit out and talk to these guys because I know where they at, and I know how they feel. But they have to want to accept what I have to, what I'm offering. And that's sometimes we all invite our friends, our loved ones, even strangers, or somebody in our job. We invite them to church. They tell us, "Yeah, I'm coming, I'm coming." A lot of times they tell you that just to get you off of it, just to make say, "Okay, if I tell them I'm coming, then he'll leave me alone." And then when they don't come, we say, "Oh well, I invited them, they didn't come, so I'm not gonna go anymore." But God didn't give up on you. Why did you give up on them? So we can't continue to give up on people. We have to continue to pursue, persist until we capture. We can't give up. If we give up on these people out here that God has appointed us to go out and get, then we're doing a disservice to Him. We taking His grace for granted. We taking His love for granted. We taking His peace that He gave us for granted. We taking His joy that He gave us for granted. Because see, God gives us all of these things. We taking the power that He gave us over the enemy for granted if we don't go out and do the things that He commanded us to do. And the one and only thing really that He wants us to do is go out and get more people and bring them into the kingdom. Bring the lost souls back home. Just bring them back one at a time. I mean, it might take you 1,000 times to go get one, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You know, the Lord says, if one soul gets saved, the whole heaven rejoices. If one soul, one, that's all He wants is one. You get one. Now say, you go get that one. Now we get him right with God. Not we, not us, because we can't get him right. We can bring him in and let him get the teachings. But once that soul gets saved, even if we don't go out and get another soul, which we should, but even if we don't go out and get one, but that one we brought in, he goes out and he gets another one. It's still it's still growing. So that's what we have to do. That's what unity is all about. One reach one. Each one reach one, each one teach one. We have to remember that. Each one reach one. Each one teach one. And that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to reach the lost souls. We, as members of Life Changes Covenant Ministries, from this night forward, we must become united as one. Start going out, reaching the lost souls, bringing them into the kingdom of God. I have more, but um, oh, okay. Well, go ahead. So I, I was told to go ahead. Okay, but that's what we have. That's what we really have to do. Um, where am I? Okay, one baptism. Okay, see. Okay, Ephesians 4:5-6 is grace is given to each as Christians, each as Christ desires. Each grace is given to each as Christ desires. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. So we all are given of grace according to the measure that Christ wanted to give us to us. None of our grace is measured the same. You know, you may have a little more grace than I do. I may have a little more grace than the next person. I may have a little less grace than the next person. But the same measure of grace that is given unto me, I have to use that. I have to use that to the best of my ability. That's it. I have to use that to the best of my ability because that's the measure of grace God gave me. He didn't give me Clint grace. He didn't give me James grace. He didn't give me Apostle grace. He gave me my grace. So I have to use my grace. I can't live off nobody else's grace. I can't use because your job might be a little tougher than mine, you know? And if I try to live in the grace that He gives you, then I'm out of line. I'm out of the will of God. If I'm trying to use your grace for my purpose, I can't do that. So now I'm gonna skip a little bit right here, and I'm gonna go down to I'm gonna go back to because I have so much things in here. I'm gonna go to First Peter. Can we go there, please? First Peter 3:8. Because I really don't want to take up too much time because then I'll be stepping out of line. I know Apostle told me to go ahead, but we all on the time limit, so we got to do what we have to do. And that's another thing. When you are given the time to do something, you do it in that time. You have to be obedient to time. Now they say time waits on no man, but you have to be obedient to time. If you do things out of time, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. And if you do things past your time, then you may be over what you're supposed to be getting. So, uh, First Peter 3 and it says, finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one for another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. Now, this verse begins as a new section of letter, Peter's letter, a new section. Now, I'm not going to read the whole everything in here, but it says the letter is written to Christians and in general. An earlier passage focused on issues unique to various groups to various groups such as slaves, wives, and husbands. Now here Peter writes to all of you, all of us. Peter's writing to all of us. This just not back in the biblical days, because Peter's still talking to us. If you're reading this, then yes, he's writing to all of you. Each Christian believer is called to obey these five commandments. Now, I hope y'all write these down. I'm going to go over these five commandments with y'all, so if y'all want to write them down, y'all can. So each Christian is called to obey these five commandments as we live in relationship with each other. Each commandment requires a certain level of mutual submission and our selflessness toward other Christians. And not only other Christians, but other people too, because you got to be selfless towards other people also. Now, the first commandment says we are to be harmonious or like-minded. God, God means for the community of Christians to be unified around one way of thinking, the way of Jesus. He wants us to think the way Jesus thought. One way of thinking. He wants us to be unified to that. One way of thinking. As a Christian community, that's the way we should think. The next thing is Christians ought to be sympathetic. And I know a whole lot of us don't want to have sympathy for other people, but we are commanded to be sympathetic. We should be emotionally moved by all sincerely interested in the feelings of other believers. Again, not only other believers, but other people. You have to be concerned with other people's feelings. Because some people, they say things to you, any old thing that come to the top of their head, they just say it. They just blah, blah, blah. I mean, you have to be concerned about how you talk to people sometimes, how they feel. Oh, if I hurt their feelings, I just hurt their feelings. That's not of God. That's not what God didn't put us here to hurt nobody's feelings. So you have to be emotional and sincere about people's feelings. And I mean, he is saying to other believers, which we also ought to be doing that with one another. But also, like I said, because you're not going to get a lost soul or unbeliever if you're not sympathetic to what they're going through. If you don't have emotions and feelings for what they're going through, you're not going to get through to them. You're not. So you have to have sympathy and feelings for them also. Okay, the third thing is Peter commands us to love as brothers, love each other. Now, in other words, a family kind of love. We hear our family. So he wants us to love as a family. Now, of course, siblings don't always like each other. We have our brothers and sisters rivalry sometime in the house, and stuff like that. So brothers and sisters and siblings, they don't, always get along. But anyway, he said, but for the most part, they are committed to each other. And I guarantee you, me and my brother might sometimes, you and your brother or your sister sometimes might bicker and fight with each other. But let an outsider come in and try to mess with them. What you gonna do? You gonna let somebody just come in and do harm to your brother or your sister? No. So then that's why that's the way we need to be as Christians. Stop. And I hope I'm not talking to anybody in here when I say this, and I'm not trying to talk to anybody here when I say this. Stop talking about each other to one another. Stop running and telling everybody somebody else business. That's not your business. If somebody tell you something, that's because they trust you, they believe you. They needed to share that with you for whatever reason. That's not for you to go out and tell everybody else. Stop doing that. I hope I ain't talking to nobody in here now, but stop doing that. Stop running your mouth like a water faucet. Don't do it. But just, we have to be committed to each other. He said, to each other above those outside, see, outside the family. Christians should carry that commitment for other Christians. The next thing he wants us to do, this is number 4. We ought to be compassionate or kind hearted. Have compassion on people. Be kind. This is similar to being sympathetic, but it implies that we are ready to show ready to show each other kindness with the desire for the good of the other person. And finally, last thing, finally, Christians are to be humble in spirit. Again, Christians are to be humble in spirit, to have a humble mind. We should be ready to set ourselves aside. Can I say that again? We should be ready to set ourselves aside. Okay, it's not about you all the time. We should be ready to set ourselves aside. We should make others the focus. Make others the focus of our attention. That's what God wants us to do. Make other people the focus of your attention. You know, sometimes we have visitors at the church, and after service over, sometimes the visitors standing in the hallway. They don't hardly go outside right away. Some of them do. Some of them just run out the door. But sometimes we have visitors in the church, and they may be standing in the hallway. But what we do, we go and look for each other. I'll go talk to Mara like I ain't talked to Mara 10 minutes ago. Before service. I'll go talk to Brother Dawson when this visitor standing over there. Our focus shouldn't be on each other. We can talk to each other anytime. Our focus shouldn't be on each other. Go over here and see this new brother who just come through the door. Because you don't know. Just by you going over there and making him the center of your attention, that shows him, oh man, these people care. He care about me. I think I might come back here next week. Because most of the time, honestly, most of the time when we have visitors, the visitors come sometime because one of us may have invited them, but most of the times because the Lord sent them. He knew they needed a place to fellowship. He knew they needed some guidance. So he sent them to this house. And what we do, we overlook them. We just overlook them, and then they walk out the door, and then they don't come back, and we wonder why the church ain't growing. Because we had 5, 10 people coming here last week, and we ain't did nothing with them. So they walk out the door, and they didn't come back. That's how we grow the church. Sometimes God's saying people here just for us, just to try us and see what we're gonna do. And a lot of the time, guess what? We fail. We fail miserably. Because if we hadn't been failing, look, look, if we hadn't failed these seats, even though this is a Wednesday night, these more people would have been in here than just us. So we have to stop doing that. And I'm not talking to y'all. I say we. That includes me. No, I'm just saying I ain't singling out nobody because I'm a part of everything I'm speaking. We have to stop doing that. We have to come together as one. Now, where was that? Excuse me. We should be ready to set ourselves aside. We should make others the focus of our attention, and Christians ought to lift up one another to disappear in our efforts to support one another. How are we going to get unbelievers if we don't go out and show them how we care about them, show them that we love them, show them that we support whatever they're going through, show them that we want to help them. Like I said, I had more tonight, but I'm gonna stop right here because I don't want to continue going on and on and on. Hopefully, I'll get another opportunity to come back before you guys again and continue on this journey because I believe we all on a path. And like Apostle said, when he call you, answer your phone. Answer the call. You know, because when you want prayer, who you call? You know, if you sick, who you call? Apostle, can you pray for me? So when Apostle call you and say, I need you, be ready, be prepared, be grateful. Honestly, y'all, when Apostle called me Monday, when he asked me, and he can tell you this, when he asked me Monday if I think that I can do this, I said, of course I can. I didn't say, oh, Apostle, I don't think I could be ready. I didn't say, Apostle, but my anniversary Wednesday night and I plan to take my wife out for dinner. I said, of course I can. And then immediately after I said to him, I can do it, when my wife came home, I told her, well, baby, don't look like we going to dinner Wednesday night. Apostle called me and he needed me. He needed me to speak Wednesday. She said, okay. So with that, I'm gonna close. Y'all have a good night, and I appreciate the opportunity to come before you.